Yo, still bills, what's the deal, man? We just, nigga just left the crib, heading to work, to do what I do and, make it a quick day, man. So, but peep game, man, we got to get into this shit, man. And that's, uh, man, I'm still fucked up off this Anthony Joshua loss, man, just in the manner that he lost in. I'm in the gym last night. My coach is, oh, hey, that's your boy, right? That's your man, right? He a bum. He did. All right, bro. It is what it is. You dig? So they've been always trying to come at me for being a fan of Anthony Joshua. So every chance they get a chance to take a jab, they gonna take that motherfucker, man. But I'm still a little aggravated about that, man, because that just wasn't supposed to go down like that, man. But one thing about him is his resilience and just his, he's like, I've been here before. I've suffered a knockout loss, not of this magnitude, because that Andy Ruiz knockout loss was not nearly as bad and grotesque as this one, man. He finished on his feet in the Andy Ruiz fight, man. And this fight, bro, that man he got dribbled off the canvas, and even when in the process of him trying to get up, just his leg in the air like that, he bent over on all four. It was just a real bad look. And you did it in front of 96K when you were the A side going into that fight. You were supposed to be the face of British boxing. You were supposed to be the representation of British boxing, and you go out there and you look like that, man. It's just really like, fuck now, and now, your fans over there in the UK are feeling some type of way about you and all that. So it's like, fuck. But even through all of that, he's still finding a reason to smile. Now, granted, he could be pump faking for the camera, still trying to show himself in good, in good spirits and high spirits and all that. It could be that, or it could just be like, you know what, I've been here before, I'm not tripping. I'll see you again. And he activated his rematch clause, man. One thing about him that you can, that you got to salute is the fact that he's not making excuses as to why he lost. You dig? People do that. Just fighters do that when they lose. You always look for a reason to justify the loss. Like it's something that I remember. All right, peep game. I remember it wasn't my, one of my spars that when I first came back to the gym, I fucked up my knee really bad literally a year ago. I fucked up my knee real bad sparring. I stepped back too hard on my knee, on my leg, and my knee just, buckled or whatever, man. That had a nigga, benched for for close to a year. That shit fucked the nigga up, man. Like that shit was wild. But I come back and I'm in the gym. I'll never forget this, man. I remember I 6 months out of the gym one time. I walked back into that motherfucker and got right back in the ring. Didn't hit no bags, no mitts, no shadow boxing, no jump rope, no nothing. I just went in there and got the ever living shit beat out of me. And that to this day is possibly my worst sparring session. Like as far as just being, just being a low light and embarrassing, bro. When niggas is looking at the niggas in the gym, looking at you out the side of the eye to check on you, like, man, you good, bro? Like. Now for me, I've never been, because I understand that, I'm in here with dudes. I'm in here with nationally ranked amateurs and amateurs with deep, deep amateur pedigree. So getting beat never really bothered me like that. You dig? And even when it does bother me, I'm able to internalize that and say, I'll be back next week or the next session. So, that was that time. But I remember maybe about a month or two ago, I went to the gym. And it had been a minute since I had sparred or whatever, man. I'm just now getting back to sparring consistently because they will always run out of gloves in this new gym that we in. So, I get in the ring, and mind you, I'm not a dude who could just off rip just come back to doing whatever it is that I was doing off of even a slight hiatus. I can't. I got to get a warm up in. I've just always been that guy. So I missed that Monday, and I came back Tuesday. And on Monday, Monday, that's when, you get on the mitts. That's when you hitting the bags and all that shit. And I get on the, Tuesday we come to the gym. It's time to rumble. And on this Tuesday, only thing I did when I came to the gym was we do our drills, our punt, our strength and conditioning drills, we hit the bags and everything, and then we get in the ring. And I'm just hitting the double end bag. It's not even a heavy bag where I can really get some shots, some leverage behind the shots. It's just, he hitting the double end bag. You're not gonna get the same results hitting the double end bag that you're gonna get the heavy bag. So I'm just hitting the double end bag, and I'm thinking that's gonna suffice. After me not coming in on that Monday, so I get in the ring, and I cannot pull the trigger. I can't. And now, granted, I went running that day. I'm trying to figure out, bro, why can't I put? And the only thing I could do is just move my head. Not even my people's is like, yo, I seen you in there moving your head, but you ain't letting no shots go. And after one round, my coach is like, man, you done. Get out. You're done. You're done. I'm like, for what? Like, you're done, dude. Get out. And everybody, once again, it was it was like, yo, what the fuck, bro? Like, what? Like, how you think you did? I'm like, yo, that shit was whack. But in the midst of me saying that, I'm trying to find a reason as to why what happened. Now, granted, I could come in and hit the bags for a week straight. I'm not gonna beat my man Leo Santa Cruz. That's my man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a dude. Look out for him in the pros in the next 2 or 3 years. You know what I'm saying? My man Leo Santa Cruz. That's a bad motherfucker right there. I'm sparring him. I can't beat him. Can't beat that guy. I can't beat. And I was like, I'm not gonna beat him regardless, man. But still, just the ability to defend myself. Throw some shot, and I will find myself in range where a comfortable range, dude, is 6'1", 6'2". I'm finding myself in punching range to let shots go, and I cannot pull the trigger. And everybody's like, yo, what happened? Why this? I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm tired. I'm coming up with all these excuses or whatever. I'm tired. I'm this and that and the third. I'm yada, yada, yada. Because I'm trying to figure out what the fuck happened. Like, why did not, how come I wasn't able to let no shots go? I mean, come to find it, I had to realize, bro, I didn't even come in on Monday. I didn't come in on Monday. You dig what I'm saying? But the point is, I'm coming up with a multitude of reasons as to why I went in there and I got embarrassed like that. That happens with fighters, man. So for Anthony Joshua to suffer an embarrassing loss that he just suffered, and him not come with any excuses, him being congratulatory of Daniel Dubois, commemorating him after the fight, that shows resilience, man. That shows somebody, that shows high character, high character morale, high morale, high character value, just all of that shit, man. That shows an upstanding human being. You gotta salute him for that. You have to salute him for that. I don't give a fuck if you like him or not. You gotta say, yo, man, that's some real shit, homie. That's some real shit. That's some real G shit. Now, with him activating his rematch clause, it has me worried because I just watched an interview yesterday with Joe Joyce. And Joe Joyce, now I think, Joe Joyce has only been stopped twice. He's only been stopped twice, and that was by Zhilei Zhang. But Joe Joyce also has he was all have an iron chin. You can hit me as many times as you want to hit me. I'm not going to drop. I'm not going to fold. And that chin got cracked by Zhang. And since then, he hasn't really been the same. He lost to Derek Chisora in a fight that everybody was predicting him to win. And got dropped, like violently dropped. So now you go and you watch an interview of him, and he's talking, and in the midst of his conversation, now when he's speaking, the words ain't slurred or nothing like that. It's not to the degree of a James Toney. It's not to the degree of Tommy Hearn. It's nothing of that nature, man. But it is like when he just ventures off into space as he has his thought. You can tell he has his thoughts gathered, but neurologically he just can't voice the words. That's bad right there. That is bad. That's not a good look at all. And you just see him just go off into oblivion. Like in his head, he's like, why can't I say the shit that I'm thinking? Why can't I voice the words that I'm thinking? Why can't I do this? This is what heavyweight boxing gets you, man. And as much as I would love to see Anthony Joshua come back from this, because I know for a fact he can. I know for a fact he has what it takes to beat Daniel Dubois. Is it worth it? Is that fight worth it? Because you're still, he's 33, 34? That's young. You still got your whole life ahead of you, man. I'm 38. That's young. You still got your whole life ahead of you, man. Do you want to risk going back in there with a dude this ferocious, this aggressive? Because who's to say that you'll be able to match that aggression in the rematch? You dig? Bro, he looked horrible on Saturday. He looked terrible. I know for a fact he can make the adjustments, but is it worth it? Is my point. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? You dig? He got that rematch with Andy Ruiz. He did a hell of a lot better in the Andy Ruiz fight, even though in the first fight, he was dominating the fight up until he got clipped. And he made that same mistake with Andy Ruiz that he made with Daniel Dubois. prematurely going in for the kill instead of being calculated, even on their, when it's time to go on the attack. But is it worth going into a rematch with this same motherfucker? Is it worth it? Because you can't afford to get knocked out like that again. Not only for your reputation, but just for your motor skills. You still want to be able to talk. You still want to be able to have interviews. You still want to be able to sit down and have a conversation with somebody. You can still get into broadcasting and call fights on the side of the ring. Commentate on the side of the ring and call the fights as it's happening. That's in your later years. You have the potentiality to do that in your later years. You can't do that if you're punch drunk. You cannot do that if you're punch drunk. And I think that is something right there that you really need to consider before you say, we going into this rematch. I don't know, man. I'm not so sure you should be able to do this. I'm not so sure, man. Even though I know you can beat Dubois, I know you can. Because what we saw from Dubois, it wasn't necessarily just him. It wasn't about boxing with him. It was about getting in there and crashing you. And he went in there, his mind was bent on utter destruction. His aggression, just everything. That was bull shark energy right there. That was bull shark energy. And I think that level of aggression just really had you in the like, whoa, okay. And is it just, before you even ask yourself, sit down with Eddie, man, should I do this again? What would you, man, reach out to people for advice, man, because you can't get knocked out again. That could have detrimental effects. Now, Green, you haven't been dropped since the Ruiz fight. But you got dropped, dribbled off the canvas 4 times in this fight. Just, man, in 5 rounds. Is it worth you going back? Is it worth you risking your livelihood and your motor skills to go back and fight this nigga again? Is it worth it? I think you could beat him in a rematch. I think you can. I think that highly of you, even though you lost. I think that highly of you to where you can say, all right, cool. Now I know what I'm up against. I know, he's only going to be able to fight me one way because he's not going to be able to beat me from the outside. He's going to have to step into his jab. And when he steps into the jab, I can take that half step back. Now I'm not going to be looking to put together no big shots. I'm not going to be. And one thing that he was doing was, pulling back and launching the uppercut up the middle. Eventually, that would have had really good results because he had results in that 5th round before he went down. He was like, all right, don't worry about it. You clipped him, and he was on the retreat. Like, oh, shit. Like, he just hit me with something serious. And even with you, it wasn't about fighting. Like, it wasn't about boxing by that point in time. You was just ready to get in there and just detonate some shit. And you went in there to do that, and you got, it cost you. Your defense wasn't tight, man. Even on the when you went on the offensive, your defense wasn't tight. You was there to be hit. Because you was entirely too open. Your hands was down the entire fight, bro. You dig? If you don't go and make that slight adjustment in a rematch, then is it worth going into a rematch? I didn't hear the corner work or nothing like that, man, because I was just in utter disbelief at what I was watching. And I'm like, well, how isn't anybody telling this nigga to get his hands up? How do you go through a fight like that? Just your entire guard is compromised. You're compromised, man. Like, what are we doing? So I don't want to see you go into a rematch if you're not going to be able to deal with this individual properly. Because if you can't deal with this individual properly, we talking about detrimental effects that you're gonna carry for the rest of your years, man. For the rest of your years, I don't want. At the end of the day, that shit ain't worth it. And looking at Joe Joyce, I'm looking at a dude who's in the early stages of CTE and all that shit. Punch drunk. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Or is it worth it? Because if you go in there and you beat him. All right, cool. You won. Now they're going to be asking for the rubber match. But you got to beat him. And I just don't know if it's worth it, man. I don't know, man. I'm not so sure. I like the resilience. I like your high spirited and all that, but being high spirited ain't gonna win you no fight. Being high morale ain't gonna win you no fight. You know, clandestine energy ain't gonna win you no fight, man. It's just not. You're gonna. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Because if you feel it's worth it, then that's your choice, that's your decision. But you cannot afford you cannot afford to go into another fight like this and lose in the manner that you just lost in, because otherwise you will not bounce back from that. You won't. You won't. Possibly neurologically. You dig? Derek Chisora can have all the losses that he has, and he's still a commodity in the division, man. That's one thing. Derek Chisora was never the face of British boxing. We respect Derek Chisora. We respect his heart. We respect his gangster. We respect that, man. I don't give a fuck if I'm losing. Man, please. You got to beat me. You got to show me. You got to show me. And he always went out there and fought and went out on his shield. We always respected that. But there's a hierarchy within the sport of boxing. You feel me? And you was at the pinnacle of it. Because of you, we're watching heavyweight boxing again. We're familiar with all the British fighters and all that. That's due to you. So your level of pristine and hierarchy is a lot higher than that of a Derek Chisora. And like I said earlier, the British fans is like not happy with you right now off of that loss. That was embarrassing. And at the end of the day, the way you got beat, how brutal it was, how dominant it was, can you afford to go back in there with that dude and fighting and risk losing like that again and risk losing your motor skills? Can you go in there and risk losing, your ability to, because you're articulate, your ability to put words together and, have an extensive vocabulary? Are you willing to risk losing all of that for a rematch? I think that, that's something that you really need to sit back and consider. Because, bro, whatever you decide to do, I'm supporting you. I'm always going to be a supporter of yours. I spent my last on that, getting that fight. I spent my last getting that fight, man, because I was like, I'm paying for this. I'm definitely paying for this, because when you support a fight, that's how you show support. That's how you show love. So I paid for that. I paid for that. And whew, man. Oh man. But hey, you before that you had what? You had you had Jermaine Franklin, Robert Helenius, Otto Wallin, Francis Ngannou. You had 4 straight wins, 2 of them by brutal knockout. One by brutal knockout, one by brutal, dominant stoppage or whatever. And that was still a top heavyweight in the division. You dig? But like I said before, one thing I do like about this shit is everybody is starting to lose their O. And it's just like, what it is, man. It's nothing else to protect. Let's get in here and rumble, man. Let's brawl out. This is the only way we feed our families. I can't keep walking on eggshells and tiptoeing around the competition. Let's get in the ring and run it. That's what I do like about the heavyweights, you dig? Because now it's like the ones who you are expecting to win are losing. We expected Joe Joyce to go in there and beat Derek Chisora. Chisora won the fight. I was expecting Daniel Dubois to beat Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce won the fight. We was expecting Deontay Wilder to beat Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker won the fight. You dig? It's like, all right, cool. We getting action. So that's the upside and the positive in all of this. We're getting action now. Niggas is fighting each other, what we've been wanting. So hell yeah with that. I'm fucking with that, but I just want to make sure that it's worth it. You know what I mean? Just make sure that this shit is worth it. Just make sure that, we're not losing you neurologically. You still have all your faculties intact. That's, at the end of the day, it's just a sport. It's sport entertainment. You got a family. You got loved ones that, want to see you walk through their door. They want to be able to conversate with you at family gatherings. You still live with your mom. Your mom calls your name. She wants to, it's soothing and comforting when you respond back, even from when you upstairs. Huh? Yes. That's comforting. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like that's something to think about, man. Don't let your ego get so far ahead of you to where you'll go out and do some wild shit and just fight a nigga because you got to get that get back. Because you cannot, as I said, I'm babbling, I'm bloviating, but you cannot afford to lose like that again. You just can't. You can't, bro. You can't. You can lose, but like that, to lose like that, study all the fighters who went through this, who went through these wars. And when it's time for them to retire, they can't even formulate a sentence, man. You do not want to be that nigga. I promise you don't. Because I don't want to be. I slur my words sometimes because of this diabetes. If my blood sugar gets too high, like, fuck, man, I have to go back and really repeat what it is the word that I just slurred, So, yeah, man, that's how I'm feeling about it, man. Whatever you decide, I'm fucking with you. But please, I urge you, really consider what you doing before you say yay or nay to that rematch, yo. Deuces.